It's Friday, September 15th. I'm Geoff Schwartz alongside Matt Ford. This is Geoff Schwartz's Smart on You. We're live on Twitter and on YouTube and everywhere that you listen to your favorite podcasts. And we're brought to you by the VLTED app, the home of my season-long game, giving out $14,000 of cash prizes in my pools, with $5,000 allotted to my final pool of the season, which will be the day of the big game. That is VLTED, VLTED, and it's a place where you can store your sports predictions, participate in cash prize pools without any entry fees, and prove you are smarter than your friends and me by using the VLTED Challenge feature. I'll have my own pool in VLTED each week. We can answer questions to win those cash prizes. We gave away $500 last weekend. $400 to the first place winner. And the only way to qualify for my big game pool is to beat me in one of the regular season pools, which won't happen because guess what? I'm smart on you. Maybe not on week one, though. I had a tough week one, Matt. We're going to turn that around. I'll also be using VLTED to store my 5 favorite predictions that we get on this show by the end of the week. So join VLTED. You can like, dislike, comment, interact with my predictions, or if you're bold enough, you can make your own and see how smart you are in football. Go download VLTED. That's VLTED. And remember to use my code Geoff. That's GEOFF. So you can see my predictions and play along. Welcome into the show as we do every Friday before a National Football League Sunday. We go through all the games left. Obviously, it was a game last night. Not much to talk about there. We make our 5 favorite wagers of the weekend. We'll put them on the VLTED app for you guys to see as well. We were 3-2 last week, Matt. 3-2. Hey, man.
Not bad.
I don't care how they come. Because we have the Jets in that Monday Night Football game. I'll take 3-2 every week. Don't care how it happens, buddy.
3-2 every week. That means at the end of the year, we'll be 17 games over 500 or 18 games over 500. We love that. That's an extremely profitable season for us. Let's do it.
And this week is stinky already. Week 2 is already stinky, Matt. And that's the hard part about playing and wagering in the National Football League. Playing obviously very tough. I meant wagering. Is that it's just each week is like this. Trying to find 5 is very difficult. It's why also I like doing the VLTED pool. You go and there's 20 questions this week, right, and you can just agree or disagree, and it makes it a lot more fun than trying to wager on some of these games. So let's start with the slate of NFL games. Again, we'll try to get to all of them. Some of them are just extreme passes, not really interesting to us. If you want to find a podcast that does all that, I don't know. Someone else is not mine. All right, Matt, let's go with the first game of the week.
Well, really quick, the first game of the week was last night. I mean, people still join us on YouTube and Twitter, by the way, or X, whatever the fuck this thing is called now. If you want to give the people a little bit of a chance to join us still, any big takes from last night's game? I mean, it seemed like it was kind of a blowout the whole time, and then it ended up being sort of it ended up feeling kind of close, thanks to the spirit of my guy Kirk Cousins keeping him alive.
My favorite mush bet the Eagles. I was on the Vikings plus 6.5, and I loved it. Woke up in the morning to cover. The Vikings was the play, by the way. They fumbled the ball 4 times in the first 31 minutes of this game. Like they were the play in this game. I think takeaway is 2 things. One, Eagles passing game. They lost Shane Steichen. It doesn't seem as good through 2 games. Obviously, home run to Smith was very well done. Jalen Hurts took way too many hits early in the game. It did not like that. Eagles are fine. It's Eagles, Niners, Cowboys in the NFC. The Vikings, though, Matt, that's what we talk about, right? I think we have their over, so it's not great for their over win total. But regression happens. We talk about this, right? They won 10 games last season by 1 score. They're now 0-2 in 2023 1-score games. This is what happens in the National Football League. You guys think we're kidding and we hate your favorite football team. We say these stats to you. This is what happens. The next season, you just don't get the bounces. And if you're not good enough as a team to overcome those things, you're going to lose these games. And so that's my takeaway. I don't really change my opinion about either of those teams. But the Vikings are getting that bad luck they didn't get last season.
Yeah, they really, what is that? 7 turnovers or something in 2 games?
I think so, yeah.
Just really ugly turnovers. I mean, I was really impressed. I think it was 27-7, right? Or something like that. And then
yes, it was. Cousins
threw that 3rd down touchdown to Addison. And it was just sort of like, hey, this team, this is kind of what they do. Like, they never go away. So they have a crazy schedule coming up. It's not great that they started 0-2 because they have a long way ahead. I feel like we were kind of still right on this team, but obviously we knew that they weren't going to be as lucky as last year, but I still have faith that they'll be able to turn it around. I think they hit on the Addison pick The problem is they can't run the ball, and that's
O-line had
a
some guys
real
out
issue.
too. Yeah.
Yeah, and Madison is clearly not quite adequate Cook replacement yet, but it's a good win for the Eagles. They have a pretty light schedule now, so they could start to run away in a hurry. Yeah. But let's talk about the rest of the week. We have 5 picks to make, Geoff. It's a much different board than last week, but I have a feeling we're going to end up going down a lot of the same paths.
Unfortunately, buddy,
making the same heartbreaking picks that we made last week. So let's start with the Chargers and the Titans. Both teams winless. That's going to be in Tennessee, but the Chargers are road favorites. They're laying 3 in Tennessee. And they're just begging us to take Mike Vrabel again, right?
Yeah, they are. But man, I don't know, Matt. We Titans covered for us last weekend with 5 field goals. 5 field goals. Their offense, which is what I thought wasn't going to be any good, is not any good. It's just not any good. Either begging us to take Tennessee here. You can't bet on the Chargers. They're untrustworthy. Like, you just can't do that, right? Like, we understand that by now. But I don't think you can bet on Tennessee here because they can't move the football, Matt. They can't score points. If the Chargers score 24 points, they probably cover this game. This has been a reoccurring problem for the Titans. And it's, again, we love Mike Vrabel as a coach. We're very supportive of the Titans. They cover a lot of these type of games. But the Chargers desperately need a win in this game. They lost week 1 in a way that they probably shouldn't have lost. The defense was bad. Offensively, they were fine. But they look no different than previous years of the Chargers, right? Which is good, but maybe not good enough. I think they win this game. I think they cover this game. I'm not putting any money anywhere near this game. How do you feel about it?
I have a feeling when we get through this whole list, we're not going to necessarily love 5. And this is one that we just kind of have to put into the discussion just based on the fact that it's Vrabel and just based on the fact that it's the Chargers. It is crazy that, the Chargers could be 0-2 after this, and imagine what a catastrophe that would be. Titans, they looked bad last week, but they went on the road. Tannehill looked terrible. Like, I'm willing to bet that they'll probably come back to a little bit closer to what we're used to with them. The Chargers, every single year, they have the worst run defense in the league. Yeah. Could you see this one just being an under and Derrick Henry just kind of grinding it out and it being a 1-score game late? Probably. So I wouldn't be I have a feeling this would be our 5th or 6th. Or maybe 7th. So I'm willing to put the Titans as maybe in the event that we don't have better ideas, which might be a spoiler alert for how I feel about the week.
I'm fine with Tennessee +3 here. I mean, is it just and this is the thing about the National Football League, Matt, wagering on it. We've done this podcast now for years. Is there's just weeks, they're just these stinker games. You just sort of have to do it. You just have to suck it up. And I think there's a couple other wagers we're just gonna have to take this week because that's the way it works. And I know that's not very fun sometimes, but it's the way it is. All right, let's get to our next game here.
Yeah, let's do that. So next up, Packers at Falcons. Man, this line has been all over the place all week. The Packers in the super contest are 1-point road favorites. The line as it stands now, I don't have it in front of me, but
Green Bay plus 1.5. Green Bay plus 1.5.
Plus 1.5. This bounced back. The Falcons were favored yesterday, so this has really moved quite a bit. I'm curious where you are on this.
Well, I don't know. Again, I think we're taking the best line as possible. I'm taking Green Bay plus 1.5. It's one of my favorite of the week, Matt. The Falcons won last week 24-10. All right. If you had to guess how many first downs the Falcons offense had, what would you guess they had in this game?
Geez, probably, I don't know, 20.
13. They had 220 yards on offense. They were 2 for 10 on third down and were +3 in turnover margin. And the game was 17-10 in the fourth quarter. They're not playing a rookie quarterback this weekend. They're playing the Packers, who are a good football team. They're a good football team. They're very talented. Their offensive line looks back and healthy. Defense, we know they're very talented and they're good on defense. Jordan Love, just run the offense, man. Just run the offense. I do not understand the love for the Falcons that we're seeing on social media after playing a rookie quarterback in his first road start in a game that the score was not really as lopsided as the game was played. So I'm all in the Packers here. Desmond Ridder was 15 of 18 for 115 yards. Come on.
I, it's interesting, Jeff. I assumed that you'd probably be on the Falcons, but I'm also seeing some +2s out there for Green Bay.
I don't get it.
Just
I
the
do not
money's.
understand this one. I don't get it.
I don't either. I mean, this is one that, like, when I first saw the line, I was like, "Oh, Falcons! Like that seems smart." Like Green Bay is not as good as they looked last week. Atlanta is one of these tough teams that, is they're just sort of like a weird offense to prepare for. Oddly, like it does sort of feel like the Packers get to prepare for the same opponent twice in a way. Like Fields
Yes.
and Ritter aren't the same quarterback, but it's kind of a similar offense. Like it's a ground heavy offense. It's like short behind the line passes. The thing that I sort of learned last week
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
like Desmond Ritter, like I'm pretty sure that's the worst starter we have in the league right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could be proven wrong, but he looked less. He like Stroud looked better than him. Bryce Young looked
Yeah.
better than him. Richardson looked better than him. I was super unimpressed. I'm a little nervous about Green Bay, but if we're able to get a point or two, which we actually are right now, if we were to make the bet,
Yeah.
I think I could potentially back it. If it's one of your favorites, we got to put it in. So
I just look.
I'm
I'm
in.
against all the sharp people that I know. Like, if you go to I like Chris Raybon, who I like in regular NFL. He has the Falcons money line. There's a lot of sharp money in the Falcons. I just don't see it, man. I could be totally wrong here, and they win this game. The Packers are a better football team. The home field advantage in Atlanta is not very much. I like the Packers,
No.
man. It's maybe a square play, but I didn't think that Atlanta was that impressive last weekend. All right, let's get to our next
Yeah.
game here.
Arthur Smith, by the way, 6-11 at home against the spread, better on the road.
Ooh,
So that's
okay.
not a super helpful case. So next up, I have the barn burner Colts and Texans game. The Colts
Go
are
ahead.
laying a point on the road. I mean,
Go ahead.
honestly, so in my YouTube TV multi-view last week, I weirdly had on. I was very curious how the Ravens were going to look, so I ended up watching a decent amount, especially of the second half of Ravens Texans.
You were hate watching the
And
Ravens. It's okay. Just be honest.
yeah, oh, I honestly, that is, I guess I maybe kind of was. I was just like, why aren't they scoring any points here? But I really was interested in all the AFC South games for some reason last week, and I was really interested in Anthony Richardson. Um, Anthony Richardson got, they had one really long pass play with Pittman. He looked terrible. Like I thought he looked really awful. And then the Texans, like Stroud looked overmatched, but their defense fought really, really hard. They made the Ravens uncomfortable that whole game. I felt like the Texans were a much better team than the Colts were. And when I saw this line, I was just sort of like, why isn't this just Texans by 3? Like what edge do the Colts bring to this? Like where are they much better than Houston is?
Yeah.
I thought Houston, first of all, like this is sort of a unique situation. Like we always like early season home dogs in division. Obviously, this is a bad game that neither of us are probably going to watch, even if we end up convincing each other to, or I convince you to bet on it. But there's one kind of interesting trend here from our friend Evan Abrams, who helped me get my Action Network subscription back last week. High five, same for you. When two winless teams play, the underdog is 67, 37, and 4 against the spread since 05. So both these teams are winless. This is a home dog in the division with, in my opinion, the better coach. That team, the Texans team last week, undermanned against Baltimore, went on the road and fought their asses off. I think this is just like a smart bet if we don't have 5 others we like, even though it could not be any uglier.
By the way, Houston's now a favorite.
Interesting.
-1. So is the line current?
Well, maybe I moved the line just now.
Yeah, you moved the line. So I'm look, divisional home dog. I guess we can't even use that anymore. Divisional opponent like this. I agree with you in the situation. I had not thought about this game. This wasn't one on my list because I have a list of other games that I do like. So I'm look, man, I'm for the maybes. I mean, we got 3 maybes already. We thought we wouldn't have any this week.
I'm impressed. The Falcons or the Packers weren't on my radar. So I'm glad that we're going to have a good chance to sort of whittle this down. Well, let's talk about a much better game, at least that we think so. The Lions hosting the Seahawks. The Lions are 5.5-point favorites in the contest. The line right now is 4.5 or 5. Wow, it's all over the place. Seattle is getting a lot of money today, so that line has moved.
Dude, I want to take Seattle so bad here, Matt, but their 2 tackles are out. Like, it's just like if they're playing I would totally be on Seattle here as a complete overreaction to what happened in week 1 between Seattle and Los Angeles and what happened with the Lions and Chiefs. But if Abe Lucas and Charles Cross I think is for sure out this week, I can't take a road team with 2 offensive tackles missing. You know what I mean? Like that
Yeah.
like I think Seattle is absolutely the wager here. Absolutely the wager here. But without 2 of their offensive linemen against Aiden Hutchinson, I can still see them winning the game, honestly, but like I just feel uncomfortable doing that.
I think, Detroit, I agree. I feel like people are going to learn the wrong lesson from this game. Like Seattle, like a lot like Minnesota, actually, a team I liked to make the playoffs, may end up being 0-2 and may not end up, the week 1 result, I think we're going to end up throwing out. This week, Detroit's got that extra rest. They're healthier. They didn't unwrap Jahmyr Gibbs yet. This is going to be inside. They're going to be on that turf where they're just going to fly. Jared Goff tends to be really good early in the season. Pete Carroll tends to not be good in the first 2 weeks of the season. Pete Carroll in weeks 1 and 2 is 10-16-1 against the spread. And then afterwards, he's covered like 60% of the time, week 3 on. Jared Goff 10-1 against the spread in weeks 1 and 2 in his career. So it's sort of like the trends don't like it. The trends don't mean anything, but it's just sort of nice context. The fact that everyone's kind of on Seattle and you could get them at 5.5 if we wanted to use the contest line here is interesting. But I kind of want to see, my concern with Seattle is that their defense didn't get any better and that Geno Smith at the end of the year did turn into a bit of a pumpkin, and it is possible that team just kind of falls hard. Like I could see it. So I'm not rooting for that, but I think this is a stay away for me this week.
I'm fine with staying away. We have other games we like. Again, I don't love Seattle in this spot. Let's get to the next 1 p.m. game.
Boy, if you want to convince me on either side here, I'm going to be really upset. This is Tampa Bay, the rejuvenated Baker Mayfield, 2.5 point favorites to the Bears. I mean, the play here, I think, who is the side here?
The side is Chicago, but I'm not doing it. Baker Mayfield is a 2.5 point favorite. Like, get out of here. Like, come on.
I can't do it.
But the Bears, I can't stomach their offense right now. It might be time to admit Justin Fields is not good. I don't know what else to take away from 27 starts now. But yeah, let's just for the sake of time, let's move on to the next one.
Yeah. I think that Bears under 7.5 looks pretty good. Moving on to the Bills laying 9.5 to the Raiders at home.
It's 8 now, I think, by the way.
Down to 8 now. Interesting.
Yeah.
Man. So that means that there's been a lot of money. Well, interesting. All the money's still on Buffalo now, but it's still moving.
This is a tease game for me. Just put Buffalo in a teaser and be done with it, right? You put them, and we'll talk about some games later. The Niners, put them in a tease. Maybe take some more points with a home team here at some point. But I'm just, the Bills probably win this game like 37-14. Like, they probably kick the Raiders' ass. I don't want to bet on it. Like, Josh Allen continues to sort of trend. He hit his peak with Brian Daboll. Brian Daboll left, Matt, and he sort of just continues to kind of like go back to what he was his first couple of seasons. And he's still a talented football player, but the mistakes worry me. I'm not laying 8 points with the Bills with Josh Allen, who continues to turn the ball over. I'm also not taking 8 with the Raiders and on the road in this game. To me, it's just a complete stay away, or tease Buffalo down through the 7-3 and be done with it.
A lot of people who I really think are smart about betting have all liked Buffalo this week. And I have this feeling it's like doesn't it just feel like one of Kansas City, Buffalo, or Cincy is going to be 0-2? Like, it just feels like one of them is just, we're going to be like, what? Like, what's going on here?
Yeah.
And I don't think it's going to be Kansas City. I just saw a video of Travis Kelce at practice twerking. That's literally what I was watching a second ago. So I think he's going to be fine and the Chiefs will be fine. Cincy could be the team, but Buffalo, it's like there's something about this where everyone's just sort of like, Buffalo's going to be fine. Like, they looked absolutely horrible a few days ago. Granted, they're at home. Granted, Allen tends to be really good in these spots where he's favored by a lot. Like they're a good team when they're ahead.
Yes,
But
they
this
very
is to
much are.
this is to stay away from me. I just feel like there's a lot of things that could go wrong here if you take either side.
Yes.
But
Do,
you know,
do you remember last
it's a
season
little.
and the year before that? I talked about how the Bills would either win games by like 20 or lose games. Like that was there's no in between. They don't win close football games very often.
Yeah.
I'm going to agree with you here. I think certainly the Bills might smash the Raiders, but I'm just not going to put one of my 5 picks on it. I don't think.
Yeah. I think we're saving ourselves some headaches there. Let's move on to Chiefs Jags in the late window. No, this is still
early.
the early window.
It's
my
the
fault
only
there.
early. It's the only game this season for the Chiefs in the early window. By the way.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, they're favored by 3 or 3.5. It's 3.5 in the contest. I see some 3s out there. 3. It's a big difference between 3 and 3.5 in this game.
Yeah, but I bet 2.5. So
Ooh.
I got a 2.5 on Sunday.
Nice.
The Chiefs are going to win this football game. You know my rule about them. I don't like putting money on the team I'm rooting for very often. 2.5, I would have just taken my mortgage for this month and put it right on the Chiefs on this show, but I got it earlier this week at 2.5. You're going to win this football game. Kelsey's back. Chris Jones is back. They play like shit on offense. Like we know they're going to win this game. And by the way, there's a lot of predictions on the vaulted pool this week for this game. Kansas City minus 3.5. Mahomes pass over 303 yards. Like there's so much to get to later with my 5 favorite vaulted pool questions, challenge questions. A lot of them are Kansas City and Jacksonville. So we'll cover this game extensively in the pool as well. Use the promo code Geoff for that. That's Geoff with the G. I hope if you're listening to this show, you realize it's Geoff with the G. But to me, Matt, 3.5 is a stay away either side. But I do think Kansas City wins and covers this game.
Yeah, I think if you can get a 3, it's worth a squeeze. But yeah, I think this will be a really interesting result. Like if Jacksonville keeps this close, teams tend to get a lot of credit for almost beating the Chiefs. And I think that they would be given a lot of respect if they were to win this game or even just keep it close, which I think they will. Like I think Jacksonville is not a great team, but they have moxie. Watching them play last week, like they just like do some goofy stuff and find their way to some wins. Like Trevor's awesome. I don't know, but this is a little bit of a stay away for me, and we'll see how much, if Kelsey's not 100%, then that 3.5 could look really good on the Jaguars end.
He's gonna play. All right, let's get to one more day game, right? One more 1:00 game.
Yeah.
Ravens.
God,
Bengals.
what do you do here? Ravens Bengals. The contest line is 3.5 for the Bengals, which I found very interesting.
It's 3. It opened 3.5. It's 3 now.
Yeah.
Open 3.5. The Ravens are without J.K. Dobbins, who injured his Achilles. Marlon Humphrey, he's out with a foot injury. Their left tackle out with a knee. Their center out with an ankle. Their safety, Marcus Jones, out with a pec. And Mark Andrews is questionable. They're on the road against a Bengals team that played really poorly, really offensively. They played fine on defense. I don't know how you don't take the Bengals here, man. I don't know how I don't. At 3.5, we think we stay away, but 3, I think we take the Bengals, right?
Yeah. So I mean, I always struggle in week 2 because to bet on the Bengals this week, you're betting on what we've seen from them in the past, and we still don't. Baltimore did not look good last week, but they looked like they could win this game. Burrow always starts the season slow. Last year, they lost their first 2 games. He's the second worst against the spread quarterback in the NFL since he was drafted. And this is, the difference again between 3 and 3.5, I think is critical. So you're basically just saying like, hey, Bengals infrastructure turns it around. You mentioned the Ravens are banged up, but I mean, they got their asses handed to them last week, and their offensive line looked like an issue. Harbaugh is great as a dog. He's great in the division. This one is just like a little bit scary to me. And again, it goes back to, we've now talked about these 3 teams in a row that it's like one of them is going to lose. I don't know who it's going to be. I don't think either of us think it's the Bills or the Chiefs. I feel like the Bengals could easily faceplant here and bust a lot of people's Sundays. But I don't know. I could just be like being a little bit too scared of what I saw last week.
It's worth noting the look ahead line was Bengals -3.5. So the line did not move after the results on Sunday.
Interesting. It's like Burrow was rusty. Like he did not look comfortable. The defense got complete.
Oh, and then we lost Matt.
Even going against Dobbins.
All right, Matt's back. He's back. Screw your internet, buddy. All right, so I'll put a maybe. I don't love the Bengals here. There's a couple games in the afternoon slot and night slot that I really do like. So let's get to the afternoon slate here. Late afternoon.
Yeah, let's do that. So the 4:00 games start with the Giants and the Cardinals. Man,
nope, no,
just save
nothing.
Some time.
Just nothing. Just move. Just save some time. What are you doing? I mean, this is what 5.5, 6 now down to 4.
Yeah, and all the money's still on the Giants. To me, this would be a Cardinals play, which we're not doing, but I do feel like I could see the Cardinals were feisty last week. They maybe played on the dirty side.
Yeah.
And I feel like they're not going to just go in the tank in week 2, but
no.
It's like the Giants aren't beating anyone by 6 right now. I don't think.
I don't think so either.
We're not betting this one.
No, we're not.
Great lower third, Nick.
No, not betting this. No, no, absolutely not. All right, let's do the next one here.
Yeah. Okay. So next up, 49ers, a team I was very wrong about last week. They're 8-point road favorites at the Rams, who surprised everyone. 8 points now it's down to 7.5. In the contest, I actually think it's just 8. What do you think? Do we have the stones to bet on the Rams?
It's 7 at Caesars right now.
You want to go Niners?
Oh, they're gonna kick the Rams' ass. On Bear Bets, the other podcast I do, Chris Felica took the Rams team total under. I think it was 18.5. I think it's a great wager. I'm not betting the Niners here. We don't take big road favorites on this podcast. If you want to go to another podcast to do that, be my guest. Because here's what's going to happen: the people that me and you laugh about and fade every Sunday are going to be on the Niners -7, and we absolutely know they are. And you're gonna have to stink it up and take the Rams +7. I'll do that personally on my own to fade the person that we always fade, but not on this podcast. I don't think I can't stomach this because Matt, this has a chance to be like a complete ass kicking by the Niners. The Rams sort of got their one victory in week 1, big road win. They go back home, which by the way, they're gonna have 79% Niners fans at SoFi Stadium this weekend. It's gonna be a road game for them. I can't stomach the Rams +7 here. Can you? I can't.
No, I could.
Okay, good.
8.5. I would listen, but no, I don't see it. I would be in my picks pool. I'll be taking the Rams. I forgot the splits every year. I feel like we need a refresher in week 1 and week 2 of what the sort of flow chart of the NFC West dominance is. Shanahan absolutely owns McVay, which is always surprising to me. He's 3-10 against the spread against Shanahan and 26-1 against the other teams in the NFC West, which is just unbelievable. So this is one I do feel like getting +8-ish with Stafford, no matter who you're betting against, is decent. But it's a really tough one in San Francisco. They can take it to you. So I'm fine with the pass, but I would be on the Rams if I had to make a choice. Speaking of passes, maybe Jets at Cowboys. America's team is laying 9 to 9.5. It's 8.5 in the contest. It's 9.5, but it's moved down. We can't do it. We cannot take the Jets, Jeff. We will not do it. I will not allow us to do it. America deserves. I know they don't pay for this show, but they deserve better than us making the case for Zach Wilson. I got to put my foot down somewhere.
You know that we do the show long enough that the Jets +9.5 is absolutely the play in this game. It's the only way to play this game. But yeah, we're not betting on Zach Wilson. It's not doing it.
No,
it's not doing it.
No,
but here's the thing.
No.
But here, I'll explain why this wager is good before we pass on it. Think about the outcome of the scores for this game. 24-17. Can very well happen. 2013. could very well happen. Think about the range of scores inside of 9 points in this game that you could realistically see. Oh yeah, Cowboys win a close defensive game by 7 points or by 6 points or by 8 points. So to me, it is the Jet. We're not. I don't think we're doing it in this because there's a couple other that I think we like a little bit later that are just we have to. I think we sort of have to take. We don't have to take the Jets here, in my opinion. So we'll pass on the Jets because if the Jets were at home, I think I would do it, but not back in Dallas.
I mean, it's really unbelievable that it peaked at 9.5. I bet by Sunday, Joe Public's going to come in and bet this one back up on the Cowboys side. Teams that win by 40 points, teams that win their opener by 21 or more points have gone 8-20 against the spread in week 2 historically. So it's a spot where you'd want to back the Jets. But Zach Wilson thing, Dallas is sort of like Buffalo a few years ago. It's like they either win by 30 or lose. So it's a pass. I do think the Jets are going to keep this one a lot closer than people expect, but you could get backdoored on this. It could be a pick 6 when they're down by 7. Like a lot of things could go wrong. Why don't we stick to, there's a few more that we're going to like here. The next one on the list is not this one. Broncos hosting my Commandantes. My undefeated Commandantes, 3.5. How disrespectful to the magnetic Jahan Dotson, Sam Howell offense. Like, what are we talking about here?
My favorite part of week 1, by the way, was Matt texting me every time Dotson got a reception for the over that he one reception. Well,
he got like 4 on the first drive, and I was like, we're 3, a quarter of the way there.
4. I cannot imagine there's one game this season we will put any one of our dollars on Russell Wilson, whether getting points or the favorite. You just can't.
Would you rather bet on Sam Howell or Russell Wilson in a vacuum?
I guess Russell Wilson. If I had to, but how about neither? Neither.
Sam Howell looked frightful. Like he looked real bad.
Yeah, shocker. He's Desmond not good. Shocked.
Like he looked pretty good in his first start last year. He has Desmond Ridder edged out by a hair. Like it was rough. He at least can do things with his legs, but man, he has a long way to go. But yeah, and Denver's a rough place to play. But the 3.5, like, what are we doing? Why is this getting the hook? Come on.
No. Let's
talk about some real football games here. Dolphins at Patriots. Dolphins are everybody's pick from last week. Everyone watched Tyreek go for 200 plus, so they're laying 3 points in Foxborough. Go.
Patriots plus 3. Just put it in Sharpie. It is done. The Patriots, we had them last week, by the way, against Philly. Bad first quarter, down 16-0. They were driving at the end to win the football game, Matt. The wide receiver did not get one toe down. Otherwise, they would have probably won that game against Philly. They only allowed 251 yards to Philly last weekend. Like, this is a real defense. We've talked about this, Matt. It's a real defense. Patriots have a real defense. Offensively, it took a little bit of time, but once it got in a rhythm of things, wasn't bad. Now, I know Matt Jones is coming from behind, so the numbers aren't a little skewed to throw the ball 54 times, but over 300 yards passing. They had 2 turnovers, though. They lost a fumble and threw an interception. That was early in the game. That caused the Eagles to go up 16-0. Dude, everyone's betting the Dolphins this weekend. You have to bet the Patriots, Matt. You have to do it this weekend. They're not going 0-2, and everyone's on the Dolphins.
I'm with you, man. It's not going to be fun, but I'm with you. And we could lose this one we could get blown out in this one if Miami's as good as they looked last week, which again, you can't overreact. For some reason, Tua 4-0 against the spread against Belichick. Wow. He's weirdly been really good against the Patriots. I think he might be undefeated against Belichick straight up. I can't remember that one. I can't find that quickly, but Tua's had success against this team, but you mentioned the Patriots offense looking a little bit better than people think. So much so, Geoff, that in the fantasy matchup between us in the Blue Duck League this week, starting at my second flex position is Kendrick Bourne. Who would have thought? Rough times for Team Ford, aka Bed Bath and Beyond. We're really struggling if Kendrick Bourne is making the starting lineup, but He's getting a lot of looks in that dynamic Mac Jones offense. Kill me immediately. So yeah, I think
this line opened up.
You got to make this bet.
Yeah, the line opened up Dolphins -2, so it's not that much off. Get an extra point here for the Patriots. I'm on this. It's just again, guys. I know it's not fun sometimes to take these wagers, but this is what gets you to winning in the NFL. It's not taking
what gets you to 3-2.
It's not taking road favorites. I know that sounds more fun, but it's not. It's not. And by the way, road teams 12-3 last week in covering the spread. Like
wow. That's so
interesting. I think it was 12-3 before Monday Night Football. So it ended up being 13-3 in week 1. There's 16 games. All right. We have 2 Monday Night Football games. The first one we're going to not waste any time on. The second one we're going to talk about. So you can just read what they are.
Yeah. So, by the way, thanks, Nick. 2 is 4-0 against Bill Belichick. That's unbelievable. Wow. The first one, Saints at Panthers. Panthers are +3 at home. We're not taking either side of that one. Save us some time. Right.
It's Monday night at 7 o'clock. I might take my son to that game. It's Monday night, 7 o'clock. That kind of be fun for a half.
In Charlotte. There you go. Bryce Young's first home debut.
Let's do the second game, though, because I think we just have to do it again in this situation.
We're back at the well, brother. Mike Tomlin, home dog, +2.5 to the Browns. I'm curious what that look-ahead line looked like, because I'm sure that shifted quite a bit after last week.
I'll find the look-ahead line. Yeah, the Steelers are the play here. The look-ahead line was Steelers favored by 1. So the line has moved. Obviously, didn't go through key numbers, but still moved nonetheless. We got burned by the Steelers last weekend. They looked like shit.
Sure did.
They also played a defense that is fucking good. Excuse my language. And they just weren't ready for the speed of the Niners defense. I'm terrified about what Myles Garrett might do to this offensive line, because they did not play terribly well. But Deshaun Watson, did you watch him play, everybody? He didn't look good. He didn't play well. He didn't play well. The Steelers defense, you're not being schemed up by Kyle Shanahan in this game. I do think that this is an opportunity for the Steelers to just get right. They're not going to start 0-2 and to fade a Browns team off a better win on paper than it looked like watching the game.
Yeah, I agree. We did. You can just go back to last week's show to hear all the stats about Mike Tomlin as a home dog. You can talk, as a divisional home dog, the numbers are even better. The thing that blew me away, and this actually kind of got me nervous, to be honest, the Steelers, unbelievable on Monday Night Football. Just of course they are, right? Since 2007, they're 19-3 on Monday Night Football. The last time they lost a home Monday Night Football game. You want to guess?
Last time was home football game. Probably some the Ravens or something.
It was 1991 to the Giants and Jeff Hostetler. They are just, this is one of those very sneaky trends. They've won, I believe it's 20 straight. Yeah.
No way.
So
jeez.
That's going to be that. I think at some point, obviously they're going to lose someday.
That's a Tomlin off a rest stat, right? Extra day to prepare stat.
Yeah. And I guess Cowher also at that time, but it's
Cowher,
you're right.
Yeah.
It's the extra day rest. It's the big pressure spot. It's a marquee opponent usually. I do think that this is a spot, and Stefanski against the rest of the division, he's the Browns are 3-9 on the road in night games against the AFC North, but 6-13 against the spread versus the AFC North under Stefanski. So this is the trends all say to take Pittsburgh. Our gut says to take Pittsburgh. Our eyes from last week tell us that Pittsburgh sucks. I'm going to throw out our eyes and go with the other good reasons to take the Steelers.
I'm with you.
So
I agree.
We've got 3 that we love here as we sort of look back at the slate. We got Pittsburgh. Go ahead.
So it's Pittsburgh, New England, and the Packers.
Yeah. So we've got 2 holes to fill, and I see 5 maybes on our list before.
Well, you're right about Tennessee, man. We had the Bengals -3, Houston minus. You like Houston -1, right?
I don't know if I'm putting my name on that one just yet.
And we had Tennessee +3. Oof. What do you think? I kind of like Bengals. I kind of like the Bengals. I kind of like the Bengals -3. If we're getting the 3 right now with the Bengals, but I don't know. I mean, the Ravens are down their 2 best offensive linemen, maybe their tight end, their running back, their safety. I don't know.
Still second week of install for that offense. I mean, I think in this list of maybes, I think we can we remove Zach Wilson from the conversation? That's
Sure.
one that I still have
Okay,
on my list.
done.
All right, let's take Zach Wilson out. So are these 4 that we have in here? I don't think we're playing Kansas City, right?
Well, okay, so we have 4 left, right? Tennessee +3, Kansas City minus. We can get a -3 at recording, right? I believe. Let me make sure we get a -3 here, so I can just say we have a -3. There is one -3 available. It looks like no, but there's a couple -3s available. Cincinnati at home or Bengals, or Texans. I feel like the Texans are getting. They're favored by a point now, right? Texans are.
Oh, interesting.
What do you think?
I mean, you tell me about Cincy. Like, I think Tennessee. It's like Tennessee and Pittsburgh are ones that we could look at each other in the mirror and be like, okay, we lost betting the right thing. But I don't really love Tennessee. It also feels extremely public. Houston to me, if we're getting an extra 2 points, I kind of want to check the action on this one.
The action's all sharp.
64% of the money on. Yeah, it's all sharp on the Texans.
Or we just say we'll just take Pat Mahomes -3 on the road. We're gonna be done with it.
Oh man.
No, I think the plays here have to be consistent with Houston. I think Houston -1. Sorry, -1 right now. It has to be in. And then here's the deal: do you want to bet on whatever semblance of offense the Titans have +3, or take the Bengals, expect them to bounce back, favored by 3 against Baltimore? That's sort of
let's
like
take the Bengals. Right? Yeah, let's take. I'm fine with the Bengals. I think we're putting a little bit of it's a little bit of a faith thing, but I think you're right. Like all the injuries and on the road and off a loss, I do think the Bengals are probably a nice spot.
And doesn't Joe Burrow? He kind of plays well against the Ravens, right? Like that's his team that he plays well against.
Everyone but the Browns. Yeah, he's done really well against Baltimore.
I just don't think the Bengals are going to come out next weekend and play flat like they did offense. Like they're a good football team, and they're not just going to come out and I think roll and just stink again. Is my point here. And you mentioned the Ravens sort of learning the new offense and whatnot. I'm for this. So right now, I think we have 5. Green Bay +1.5 at Atlanta. Houston -1 hosting the Colts. Bengals -3 at home against the divisional game, home against the Ravens. And then the ones I think they're just like to hold your nose and just New England +3 Sunday Night Football against the Dolphins, which I don't like betting these primetime games, but I think it's the right call though. And Pitt +2.5 hosting the Browns. And the best part about these games, by the way, is every schmo is going to be on the Dolphins and the Browns. It's like we're going to be we're going to feel good being on the other side of everyone else.
Yep, and nobody's going to be touching, and the public really likes Atlanta also. So I think we're probably on the right side there, and I think the Houston one, it's like the only people betting on that game are sharp people betting the Texans. So
yes,
all right. I think that's a 4-1 in there. Maybe. What do you think? We're not asking for 5. Give us a 4-1.
I'll take a 3-2, buddy. I'll take a 3-2.
Absolutely with the 3-2.
All right. Well, let's take a break.
Why don't we take a go ahead.
Let's take a break. We'll come back. We'll talk about the vaulted pool and the challenge questions and what I like for this week. I'll wrap everything up. I'll be back in a second. All right, we're back. Look at that. Look at that magic. We're back.
Wow.
I love it.
TV magic, baby.
Remember, go to Vaulted app, free to enter, win cash prizes each week, join my pool, Geoff with a G, Geoff. Go to Vaulted, that's VLTED, and play this with us. We gave away $400 to first place winner last week. $400. 75 to second place, 25 to third place. All you got to do is agree or disagree and then put a number of points you want to risk. I was on the underside of risking points. Like I'm a little conservative with that. But here are 5 ones I like, Matt. You can add your own as well. Kansas City will score more than 27.5 points. I strongly agree with that, Matt. I think the Chiefs are going to score a lot of points this weekend. Travis Kelce's back. I put Kadarius Toney, who was on my bench, starting in fantasy football this weekend. I think they're going to feed him the ball early and often and say, hey, buddy, you're a big part of our offense. Go catch the ball and do good things. So do you agree with me here? I put 10 points on this one.
I love going against Kadarius Toney in fantasy. Let me just say that.
Our other fantasy team.
Oh, okay. Because I was going to say Kadarius Toney versus Kendrick Bourne is a real barn burner at the flex position.
I know, right? No. Not our league.
I like it. I like the stones it takes.
Okay. So my next one up is Tyreek Hill will have more than 96.5 receiving yards. Until further notice, Matt, this is an agree. Every time over for Tyreek Hill, each and every time. Yes, he will have more because he might end up as offensive player of the year, which we bet on, right? He's going to have a ton of yards. He's always going to have I would always bet the over. Do you ever bet the under on any of these Tyreek Hill props ever, Matt?
No, it's no fun. He can get it all in one play. I mean, I genuinely think 2,000 yards is in play for him this year. The way that the way that offense looked, the way that Tua I felt like made some real strides. So I would not be shocked if he set some records this year.
Staying in this game, my next prediction that I like is Zeke Elliott will have more than half a rushing touchdown. The answer is no. It's disagree.
Okay, good.
He had 7 carries last weekend. He fumbled the ball. He fumbled the ball, right? Am I right on that? I believe he did.
Yeah, he did. Yeah. Early.
In a pass catch, by the way. It wasn't a rush. Only 7 carries. He's like, no. I'm fading him here. I'm going to disagree with that. A couple more I have for you. Lions 5.5 over Seahawks. I did disagree. I like the Seahawks in this spot, Matt. I know we talked about the tackles and we're not wagering on this, but my prediction here for VLTED is disagree. I think the Seahawks will be within the number here. What do you think?
I think I don't know how I feel on that one, to be honest, because I have a lot of doubts about Seattle. I don't know. This is a stay away, as we sort of said above, but I think there are some individual things about this game I like, which I think maybe where you're going next.
Well, this is one that our podcast, by the way, is the number 1 supporter of Amon-Ra St. Brown. Just remember this, guys. We're the ones last season. Matt is the one last season who made everyone money. So whenever we have Amon-Ra St. Brown opportunities, we're taking it. DK Metcalf will have more receiving yards than Amon-Ra St. Brown. The answer is disagree. No, not happening.
Correct.
Never. Always take Amon-Ra St. Brown. The last one here, it's a 6. I like a 6th one. Darren Waller will have more than half a touchdown. Disagree. Guy's a hamstring injury. I don't know what's happening with him. You can't go agree with a player who might not be 100%.
Absolutely. I think it's a great call. And there's some, I think the Giants, it would not shock me if they kill everyone in Survivor this week. If they're like the team that goes on the road and loses to the Cardinals, and you're like, oh my God, the Giants are 0-2. They're 4th in the NFC East, and Dallas and the Eagles look unbelievable. What happened to the Giants? I could 100% see that in play this week. And Waller not being a big piece of it because he is so talented would explain it. If you're playing VLTED, by the way, which you absolutely should, there's a bunch of sort of things if you're on the side of the Bengals, like Joe Burrow's over in touchdowns, the Bengals scoring more than 24.5 points. Yes. If you're with us on those, you can absolutely sort of creatively bet those ones, the number of sacks for each team that sort of could confirm your hunch and our hunch on the Bengals. So this is a really fun game. I had a great time entering it in last week, and I'm going to do it right after this.
It was a lot of fun. So remember, go to the VLTED app, VLTED, and put in my code Geoff, Geoff, to join the pool. It's a lot of fun. Again, it's free to enter, and we're giving you money. I don't know why you wouldn't do it. All right, that's our show for this week, everyone. We'll be back on Monday to recap the week that was in the NFL. Again, the predictions I'm putting in there: Green Bay +1.5, Houston -1, Cincinnati -3, New England +3, Pittsburgh +2.5. Both those in the Vaulted app as well. All right, guys, have a great weekend of ball. Take care. Lastly, by the way, Pac-12 picks on my Twitter @Geoff Schwartz. I'm good at those. Check them out. All right, have a great weekend, everyone. Talk to you later.